Doflamingo, an enigma, a villain. This was supposed to be very deep, but it's not deep at all. Anyways, Doflamingo is a villain. Yeah, a villain in One Piece. Now, I should have made this video a long time ago. I don't know why I'm doing it right now, but yeah, I was very busy with life, and that shit hit hard in the truck. But yeah, we're gonna talk about Doflamingo now. Doflamingo. This is not a rant video like with the Makima video, so it's gonna be a very different video type of. Think more of a CJ the Champ type video. Not really like that because I'm not as entertaining to listen to like he is, but more in that lane. Disclaimer: everything that I say in this video is proven by facts in the One Piece manga, or I'm just making half the shit up. I don't know, but I'm actually I am doing research for this video though, because I know a lot of Doflamingo beforehand and before it was introduced. Actually no, when he was introduced in the manga and all this stuff, and how his design changed for like over the time and all that. But yeah, this I'm not gonna spread false information though, because if I did that, then what would be the point of this video? But yeah, no, this video is more to like delve into the character of Doflamingo and why he's such a good villain in One Piece, and why his villainy, I guess you could say, works a lot more. Is that even a word? But why is him as a villain works a lot more in One Piece? Well, what I feel, fuck, this is gonna be a blooper. Shit. Anyways, what I was trying to say is that this video is gonna be about why Doflamingo, like my opinion on why Doflamingo works better as a villain than most villains in One Piece, because I feel like most villains in One Piece are either very one-dimensional. Like, for example, Kaido, you know, all he wants to do is become the strongest pirate, right? And have a good fight and die eventually. But, I mean, what really is, there's nothing complex about that. And there's other villains like Enru, who basically claim to be God, you know? But he wasn't really God because he got punched by a rubber boy. So, I mean, come on. You claim to be God and you get punched out by a nigga made of rubber. I understand he was his weakness, his natural weakness, but come on, man. Nah, come on. He didn't get the even 30 million bounty yet. Yeah, I feel like most of the villains in One Piece are very one note, and I feel like the characters are actually a lot better, who would be a lot better written as villains, are the ones who end up being the heroes of the story. Like Law, I feel like Law actually has a really great backstory to be a villain, but they made him a hero, which I have no problem with, honestly, because he's still a rival to Luffy in some way. So it's not really like a friend. He's more of a like I guess a willing acquaintance, because you decided to help them so he could defeat Doflamingo and Dressrosa. But yeah, we're gonna go into a lot of that, or not, or not. But yeah. So Donquixote Doflamingo was introduced in the Gaia arc. Gaia arc? I don't know. Going back to you know, the person who this whole video is actually about, which is Doflamingo. They introduced him along with Kuma in this. Well, not Kuma. We already knew Kuma before from Thriller Bark, but this is like they introduced Kuma again, and then they introduced Doflamingo alongside him. He was not really like a villain. He was more like the guy who was just he was there, but he wasn't really doing anything of significance. He was controlling things from the background, but he wasn't really like in the front lines and fighting Luffy and stuff like that. But this is basically the arc where Luffy also meets Bellamy, and this is where we get the infamous one punch scene from Luffy. That scene, I fucking love that scene. This piece of shit, Bellamy was talking all that crap, and this gets beaten down by one punch. Like that is one of my favorite scenes in One Piece in general. But yeah, we get from that arc, and I believe the next arc that they introduce him in, they reintroduce him to all of us as an audience, is I believe Marineford, and that was when you know, the Paramount War was happening, and we basically get to see a lot more of him, but it's not like the same as we do get to see in later on in Dressrosa. And this was before the time skip happened, so this was like, Luffy basically find out about Ace being captured by Blackbeard, and Blackbeard, basically turning him into the government, and then the government planning his execution as a public execution. And Whitebeard decided to get all of his crew. You don't need me to explain the Paramount War. Everybody knows about the Paramount War. It's like one of the greatest arcs in all of anime. And yeah, Doflamingo, we get to see Doflamingo there. He's just there, just chatting up a storm, not really doing much, but he does get into some action. He doesn't really, it's not as important as the story. He's just there, like, oh yeah, I'm one of the Shishibukai, so I'm here. Cool. But yeah, later on in the time skip, after the whole, 3 year, is it 2 year 3 days or 3 year 2 days? I don't remember. But yeah, after that whole time skip, we get to see, Luffy and crew get stronger, and they all meet up at Sabaody. We get from that, and then we go to Fishman Island, and after Fishman Island, we go to, I believe, was it Dressrosa? Is it Fishman Island and then Dressrosa, or Fishman Island? No, yeah, it's Fishman Island. I keep saying Fishman Island. No. It's actually Fishman Island, Punk Hazard, and then we go to Dressrosa, because I remember now, because that's where we first meet Virgo, and then we learn about the whole, basically how Law was tied into Virgo, and that old crazy shit. It's fucking amazing. At the end of Punk Hazard, Doflamingo comes to Punk Hazard itself, and damn near kills Smoker, and but Aokiji is there to stop him. And we get that really cool scene with Aokiji freezing him over, but then he breaks out of it, and then he basically goes back to Dressrosa. I know this is a whole different tangent from One Piece and Doflamingo, but how is it that they killed the third Kazekage like that? Like, it wasn't even something important, even though, like, we find out later on that this guy was very strong and he had gold sand. This man was bending with gold sand, and somehow Orochimaru just kills him like that. Like, what? 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 Nah, that's crazy to me. Going back to Doflamingo. Okay. So, this is where we find out Doflamingo and his motives and all that, and why Law hates Doflamingo with a really deep passion. We go into a flashback with Doflamingo and Law's, basically we learn Law's backstory. And Law basically, out here revealing his backstory, how he met Corazon, how he escaped, I forgot the name of the Corazon form. I think it was Corazon. And I think the first time he met Corazon, he stabbed him in the back. he stabbed him in the back because he thought he was like trying to kidnap him or something. Blah, blah, blah. Skip to the part where Corazon and Doflamingo are basically having this standoff. Doflamingo just pulls out his Glocky and he got to shooting. Blah, blah, blah. Why did I make that sound effect? But okay, he shot him 3 times. He also shot his father when he was a little kid. He basically grew up around gangsters like Treble, who allowed him to come into the ranks, and he became a very notorious killer at the age of what I think it was like 8, 9. And ever since that since that time, the funny thing is that he actually killed his father after he became a gangster, after he met Treble and all of them, and all of his comrades, after that point. And that comes after the fact that his father and his family basically had to fall from grace because they were attacked by the common folk. And they were tortured a lot, beaten a lot, and basically made to look like complete human trash. And as a 8-year-old, I mean, come on, being treated like that as an 8-year-old, and you have your mother who's bedridden and sick, and then your father who basically, in your eyes, caused it all because he was just rash in his decision to take you out of the what's the name, the celestial dragons, and basically make you part of this world that you never thought you would be a part of, and all of it seems to be his fault because of what he did, and rightfully so. In your mind as an 8-year-old, you'll be thinking that, and then the only thing that you've experienced all the way up to this point was just straight up hatred. So that itself doesn't help the fact that he sees us like he already has this twisted view from the celestial dragons that all humans are below us and all that. And then because all celestial dragons think they're better than humans, and even though they're humans themselves. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say on that point, because it really does show character development in Doflamingo, and how basically his worldview was twisted as a kid, but even more twisted because the same people that he learned from the celestial dragons, and now like little they are to them, are the same people who treat him like he's a worthless piece of garbage, and he's no less, and he's even lesser than a human. He's basically a fucking rat at that point. And that should really go to show you how well Oda put a lot of thought into his character, and a lot of thought into showing how much he really hated everything around him. With all that being said, Doflamingo is a very complex villain who, honestly, in my opinion, rivals the types of Meruem and Madara Uchiha and even Aizen from Bleach. And he's well written as a villain. He has understandable motives as a villain. He has a very tragic backstory, which attributes to why he is the way he is, and why his ideology is the way it is. And it really helps elevate the character and other characters around him as well, like Law, because Law is basically a kid who went through the same thing that Doflamingo went through, but because he saw what he could have became in Doflamingo in the future, he basically chose to go to the different path, especially when he had a role model like Corazon. And Corazon basically, pushed him away from the path that Doflamingo went on as a kid, because of all the hatred and vitriolity that Doflamingo had to face himself as a kid. So it's basically like Doflamingo himself is it's a cautionary tale of how society creates his own monsters, and and how people should really look to how they treat others sometimes, and should act on rash and past events happening. And the thing about Doflamingo's character and why it's so tragic is because they were stereotyped, because they were from Merijua, and Merijua is a place full with pieces of garbages, hypocritical celestial dragons. So of course the people of the common class will be thinking they're just pieces of shits and they're here to rub their riches in our faces. But that basically was very far from the truth, and it basically created a monster that shouldn't have been created, and that created Doflamingo. But yeah, he is a very amazing villain, and honestly, I would say he is one of the best created villains ever. Not only because of One Piece, but just because the writing is on a different level, and I don't think any other villain in One Piece even stands a chance to the writing of Doflamingo. And for those who like simpler villains like Kaido and Big Mom and Katakuri and all that, and even Katakuri himself is complex, but I'll probably make a different video about that another day. I feel like you are allowed to, because that's your opinion. You could like whatever you want to like, but at the same time, I feel like you have to understand that Doflamingo's backstory goes to a different level than it is just a basic, I'm evil because I'm evil, or I just want to be the strongest, or I wanted to have a family and wanted to make them obey me indefinitely. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Yes, Doflamingo is the best villain out there. Now, if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Tell your friends about it. Your grandma, your dad, your mother, your pet, your great-grandfather who's probably dead and buried in the cemetery right now, or burned and put in an urn. And just tell them to like and subscribe, help me grow the channel and all that. And also, I promise to upload more frequently. We all know this is a lie, but thank you for watching the video. Have a good day, and One Piece and stuff.